So the new Warzone meta is going to include some of these fan favorite Warzone 1 loadouts. Obviously, they're a little bit different, being BO6 weapons, but I want to go ahead and cover these and talk about where you can get some of these attachments within the battle pass. First up is the Grau conversion kit. That will be on page 5, and you can see it's the first item here. Another item is the Monolithic Suppressor, and we can go ahead and see this on page 7. It is the third item over. Then we also, of course, got the brand new weapon, the CR56 AMAX, the HDR, which is going to be on page 3, and then the Kilo, which you simply get just for logging into Warzone. I've managed to go ahead and go through all the different various weapons, level them all up, not the HDR because we're not including that in today's video, but I want to go ahead and give you the top loadouts after the update because they made tons of buffs to speed up the TTK. I have updated the spreadsheet, which is linked near the top of the description if you want to read through the various TTKs, updated to reflect the new values in the game since we are able to hand test in the firing range before the game fully launched and we're able to play Verdansk. So luckily we're able to go through, we get the various TTKs. Everything was kind of sped up. You'll notice on here that the C9 didn't get moved up quite as much, and I have that at 656. And then over here on this section, when we go ahead and look over on my close range viable potential, you can see that it has 2 stomach or leg shots will give you the slower TTK, and you can get a faster TTK of around 550, which is pretty good if you only hit 1 stomach or leg shot. So for that reason, I think you're going to get a little bit more inconsistency, and that's going to have people shift. But that's still fine because then that opens up the meta where some people are going to like the Saug, some are going to like the KSV, some are going to like the Kompakt, some are going to like still the C9 because they're just used to it. They like the MP5 feel and the PPSH. There's going to be a few other options in the mix if you want to use the MCW conversion kit, but I'm limiting this one just to 5 weapons to get you started. There's way more viability in these, and you can even use some long range weapons like the AK, which got a significant buff, and even though it has more recoil than some of the other long-range options that we're going to talk about, it still kills pretty fast, and that's what we're going to go ahead and look at over here. The TTKs are around 800 to 900, 1,000 for the long-range meta, which is pretty good. Some of these have varying recoil differences, so some might kill faster, like we can see here the AK-74, which kills a lot faster than some of these options. And then we look at something like maybe the AMAX, and we can go ahead and scroll down here. We get the AMAX 949, the Kilo. You can see kind of what the consistent TTK is. Kilo's a little bit slower at 960. And then what has a little bit more recoil in the mix is probably the Cypher that a lot of people have been using for a season and a half or so. There it is. So you're going to see kind of where those fit into the mix. And then the Grau, it also fits in there right above here. Coincidentally enough, it looks like as you've actually played with these guns in the firing range and you kind of shot the patterns, they've pretty much almost made it 1-to-1. I think the Grau feels a little bit like it has a little bit more of a jump in the beginning, which we'll talk about. But besides that, the recoil patterns are like you remember pretty much for the Kilo, the AMAX, and the Grau, besides that little spike jump at the beginning with the Grau and maybe some difference in the iron sights, which we'll talk about. But overall, I think we're going to have a pretty open meta. This is just kind of like a sample, kind of get it going. And then probably in like a week or so, they're probably going to nerf some stuff because they're going to realize, oops, we made some things a little broken. And then we'll go ahead and kind of balance it. This just gives you a head start. If you have a sleeper in the mix, feel free to comment it. There's going to be tons of them because so many weapons changed with this recent patch. So we'll go ahead and breeze through these. All these new ones are going to be those loadouts that you saw on there, the 5 and the 5. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the AK and the PPSH. And some of these are going to mix around. It's not like a hard, this is number 1, this is number 2. This is number 3. So don't take it as like, oh, I didn't level that one, I'm going to be screwed. No, a lot of these are going to be in kind of a good spot, and we'll probably fine tune, and people are naturally going to just find the meta because that's going to kill you. And you're going to be like, dang, that killed me kind of quick. I'm going to try that out. And that's kind of an old fashioned method that inevitably, even if people don't watch YouTube, they don't really sweat the game, they're not hardcore meta, whatever. If they die to a gun repeatedly, they're going to realize, yeah, that gun's probably good. So keep that in mind. So we have it here in the firing range, 60 round mag for the AK, and then the PPSH. So these are going to be kind of the two. Obviously you have closer ranges there, but this gun kills a lot quicker. So even though it has more recoil, it's going to be a little bit more forgiving because now it's killing in less shots to kill, and you're going to be able to delete players, I think, at much closer ranges. So this could be a really good sniper support as well. When it comes to the loadout, we're focusing mainly on 5 attachment loadouts. If you do want to add extra attachments because you love going 8 attachment, realistically, it kind of sucks because 6 attachments would be ideal for the vast majority of long-range weapons. What you'd mainly go with is overpressured, and then you just get extra bullet velocity that bump you up to 1200 if you can only equip 1. If the recoil is a problem, you can go recoil springs. That kind of depends. On the AK, you might lean towards recoil springs for that reason. Unfortunately, the way that BO6 attachments work, rear grip's not really going to help. These are like close range attachments mostly. Almost all of these are like close range speed up. So those aren't as helpful for long range. The stock, you can kind of go balance, combat. This will help with flinch resistance. You can even go heavy if you want extra flinch resistance. So if you're shooting someone, they're shooting you, you're not going to get off target because they're flinching you, doing high damage. So this would be the 5. If you get 3 other attachments, you just kind of follow that logic that I've explained, and I explain it here so that you understand how to do that depending on the individual weapon you decide to go with. PPSH, pretty straightforward build. Most of our SMGs kind of follow this kind of similar set. It doesn't have a rear grip, so we can't run ergonomic or the CQB grip. Besides that, pretty good there. Most SMGs, you really don't need 8 attachments. In my opinion, I just think it's mostly unnecessary. Exception, maybe keyboard and mouse. Maybe you want to run an optic because sometimes the optics suck. You can go that way as well. Next guns up are going to be the Grau, which is the SWAT converted, and then the ammo works like you expect. And then the C9, which, like I said, the TTK is pretty variable. It kills quick if you don't land any stomach shots, pretty much. But if you land 2 or leg shots combined, any combination of 2, you're going to get a slower TTK, which for me, I feel like that's a knock. I feel like it was a knock the last time it got nerfed, but the recent buff, it's kind of like in that balance. So we'll see where it lands. But like I said, still a super good option. So the Grau, the iron sights are a little bit different. It feels like it's closer to your face, and the rear aperture it is a little bit thicker than we previously had. The front sight is what we remember with the Archangel, and it's super accurate. You can see it has like almost a little bit of a quick rise when I pull the trigger, but beyond that, very little recoil. You're going to be able to take targets out at range like you remember. You can see it doesn't have much recoil at those ranges. And the fast TTK on a low recoil weapon, it's going to feel like you're getting deleted at range, I would imagine, just because people are going to be able to be accurate. And hopefully they get back to kind of this where the TTKs make sense based off the recoils that we have on the weapons, because these are significantly lower recoils. And then we got the C9, which is mainly going to be your close range option. And there you go. So let's go ahead and check out the class setup for that. When we go over here, there's the conversion kit. You need that last attachment that I told you about. And then you have the other attachments there. You are kind of limited. It does have the built-in barrel. So even though you're putting on a firing mod, it's giving you the range and bullet velocity and all those things. Pretty decent range, up to 58 meters. And then 1200 bullet velocity, which is very good. I really can't increase it anymore. And the Monolithic Suppressor, since it doesn't have much recoil, is super helpful in the bullet velocity department. If we go ahead and subtract it, you can see it's a 17% increase that we're getting from the Monolithic, which is, I believe, even more than we used to get back in the day. It's not really impacting the range, but keep in mind that the increase in bullet velocity is also helping that hit scan range get pushed out a little bit further to like 60-ish meters in this particular case, 65 meters or 60, something like that off the top of my head. So there's how that kind of works. And then the C9, we're going to be a similar thread across this. Obviously, the PPSH was a little bit different because the ergonomic grip wasn't available on that gun. But overall, this is kind of how you'd build it out. And there it is. They did buff the ranges on these a little bit. So if you don't really feel like you need as much range with the Reinforce, you can actually go the Gain Twist. You just want better bullet velocity. If you're going to be sniper support, or the long barrel to get additional range up to 15.5 meters. So it's kind of like the trade-off. It depends on how aggressive you are. If you're closing that distance, that 2 meters makes a difference if you're not able to close that distance or not. And then it brings us to the Cypher, which we've had for quite a while. And then the Kompakt, which is a little bit of a slower weapon, and it burns through bullets. So I think that is a downside, but it's going to have a consistently fast TTK. And we kind of have those two there. So this one, super low recoil. easy to use. Kind of what we've had for a while. 5 attachment. If you need more attachments, so you can do the 8 attachment, there it goes. Like I said, this is going to have a little bit more recoil because it kills faster, even though it doesn't have a ton. It kills faster than some of the other guns, but I think a lot of people are going to just gravitate towards the Grau and the Kilo. Once you guys see those, it's kind of insane. I mean, they feel amazing to play with. And I had the opportunity to max level them, so I have all the attachments for them, right? Kompakt, kind of what we're used to. Super fast firing rate. Very unforgiving if you miss shots, because then you're going to run out of bullets. You can't really thirst your kills as much. But it's very forgiving on the opposite end because it fires so fast. You get off target, you can get back on target and still get the potential to delete. It's just a little bit in the middle there. Like I said, it can move up or down. So a lot of for the Cypher is going to be similar to kind of what we've already seen. Those are the 5 there. Like I said, you can put on recoil springs or bullet velocity rounds if you want to go ahead and bump that up. 5 attachment Kompakt, there it is. Pretty straightforward, similar build. Luckily with BO6, they've kind of kept the attachments pretty similar. Next up brings us to the AMAX, which feels amazing, and the KSV. So AMAX, they actually give us a 60 round mag. I know the thing doesn't show it properly. Before we used to only have a 45 round, so 60 mag is kind of nuts. It still has that kind of recoil pattern. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit longer because we have the 60 round mag instead. But you can see at range, it still manages to be a little bit more accurate than even the Cypher, for me personally. I don't know what it is, but it just feels great to shoot. And I wish we just had more guns like this. Luckily, it seems like they did copy a lot of that 1-to-1 over, so it's mostly going to feel like that. And then the KSV, overall decent gun, like I said. I think the people are going to be a little bit torn until a couple days go by what they're going to stick with. Sure, some will be the C9, some will be the KSV, some will be the PPSH maybe, and then also the Saug, depending on what ends up killing you the fastest. That's what a lot of people end up going with. There it is, kind of built out. I'm rocking the 60 round mag. Again, if you do the 8 attachment, you can go crazy with overpressured. 1700. That is just ridiculous. It's really unnecessary. Some of the fastest bullet velocities we've ever had in Warzone. So I'm glad they overdid it, because then they can, you know, hopefully buff some of the other ones to compete. And then right here, you can see the range. You can see it goes up to 64 meters with the gain twist. If you actually wanted to go nuts, you can go long barrel. If you go 8 attachment, you can actually go long barrel and then put on the high velocity rounds, and then that'll make up for that. Or go reinforced, because you can see it pushes that damage drop off to 80 meters. And I think a lot of people might go that route because you still get 1230 even with the reinforced, which is as fast or faster than most of the meta weapons we've had for quite a while. And then when you combine that with something, if you're doing 8 attachment, you get almost 1500 meters per second bullet velocity, which again is also pretty darn good. So you got a couple different options there. Like I said, it's going to be a preference on how you play, if you're only on Rebirth, if you're playing Verdansk, whatever. And then you kind of have the gun built out there. And then again, with the reinforced or long barrel, depending on what range you want to challenge, it does have a little bit more range than we're used to seeing on the other one. So here is the Kilo, which even though it's not going to have the fastest TTK as we saw on there, this thing is going to shoot relatively straight. If I shoot this, I'm not controlling the recoil, by the way. Just I'll show you, just so you don't think I'm lying. This thing's gonna be a laser. So basically, you just the TTK is gonna feel so fast. So yes, the Kilo feels great, low recoil, super easy to use. Again, you could also get the insane bullet velocity. And then we have the Saug, which, like I said, is going to be a little bit up in the air. What's going to be the #1 SMG? I think people are going to be split on this one. They're going to say, nah, they're just going to see the order and go, nah, that's not #1. The other gun is. That is #1. Great choice. Whatever. It's just how it goes. When you make a video about these things, people are hypercritical. So hopefully this helps you get started. Kilo is going to be kind of built out like that. Like I said, gain twist. Get a little bit extra there. If you're doing 8 attachment, you might go reinforced or even long barrel, and then use overpressure to shoot that up to a high number. and kind of balance that out. Again, you don't really need much. These are already low recoil weapons that allow us to use the Monolithic Suppressor, which is going to be so awesome, again, to be able to use that type of thing. And then you can use whatever optic you want. For the Saug, pretty similar build that we've already seen, and that's kind of how it goes. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. I'm looking forward to playing a ton of Verdansk. See you on the next one. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.